your message. Share your message. Woo! Yeah.
Welcome! I am so excited that you're here today, as always, because I have an amazing guest star today, Mr. Gary McKenzie. Hey, Gary.
Hey, good. Hello, Tonya. Delighted to be on the program today.
I know y'all are going to hear so much amazing information, especially on how to get more of you out in connection to even at a networking group, at a stage, whatever it is, it's about that communication skills. Before we get with Gary, I want to remind you that we have the Public Speakers Conference coming up in London, England on June 20th through the 22nd. So we still have incredible lineup of amazing trainers, but also looking for attendees. So if you're like, ooh, I'd love to go for 3 days and have an amazing experience connecting to the nicest people and the biggest influencers out there, then definitely go to publicspeakers.com. All right, so Gary, tell us a little bit about you and give us a fun, quick tip, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, thank you. It's my background, of all things, is an accountant, shy, retiring individual. And I knew I had to figure out how to break out of that mold. And so I made an effort, worked at it. And today I spend my time working with speakers and aspiring speakers on how to develop their public speaking skills and how to connect with their audience and create meaningful, powerful presentations.
I loved it. So give us a one of like your, oh, it's usually it turns in from a pet peeve, right? That you're like, oh, I wish people would just know this.
Yes. I wish people would just know, especially when they're introduced on the stage, that my pet peeve is they'll walk on stage talking. They need to walk on stage, shake hands with the introducer, turn and face the audience and pause. Let us see them, take a deep breath and start, as opposed to just, they're already, because they're nervous, they're already talking as they walk on stage. They feel like, what? Who? What did he say? And they do not appear credible. Mm-hmm. That's one of my main pet peeves right there. So thank you for asking that.
I know. One of mine is the people come up and they're like, I want to thank the person who invited me, and I want to thank this person, and then it's like 5 minutes later, and you finally get to the point where they're actually starting the presentation.
Absolutely. And I share that. Thank you for mentioning that. I share that pet peeve, as opposed to understanding, okay, how do you start your talk? Mm-hmm. So that means you pause, smile, look at the audience, and then make an opening statement that grabs your audience's attention. And the opening statement, Tonya, doesn't have to be, hi, how are you? I'm great. No. If you start off in kind of a low voice, maybe ask a question, maybe just make a statement. The fact that you're here today means you're interested in just telling more about this topic. Start off nice and low and slow. You're connecting with the individuals. We'll call them the kinesthetic learners. They prefer to communicate kinesthetically. So you start off slow, so you've got those individuals. And in studies that I've read, if a speaker starts off really fast, let's say, hi, how are you? I'm great. And they jump into the story real quick, real high, real energy. The people that are kind of the softer kinesthetic individuals say, and you lose them and you can't get them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've really got to understand these things. And even like at the end, you're talking about don't come up on stage talking, is when you're done, stand there and absorb the applause or something. Don't just, all right, thanks, and just walk off, right? Give people time to finish and enjoy seeing you at the end.
Absolutely. I think because there again, when you're finished, you want to be credible. You have confidence. And that means you stand, smile, accept the applause, maybe whatever gesture you do, and then take a step back. I don't know if you feel this. It's take a step back and open your arms. And that kind of invites the audience not only to continue applauding, and many times they will stand up and give you that standing ovation just because your body language said, please stand up.
Yeah.
And then pause, take in that, and then shake hands with the MC and step off the stage.
Yeah, I see this, and not just, if some of you are like, well, I'm not a stage speaker, how does this pertain to me? This works in a networking group or a board meeting or really anything, is to own your time in front of people and to stand in your presence instead of this rushed in and out feeling where you're not giving yourself the moment, right?
Absolutely. You want to I like that term, give yourself the moment. You pause. You're credible, you're making eye contact, you're smiling, and if it's in a networking event, you're listening to the conversations, and you want to communicate with individuals or connect with them in their preferred method of communication. And when I say that, people say, well, how do I know? You listen. If the individual is saying, well, can you see this or picture this? That individual talks in visual terms. So as you talk with them or respond, you're going to use visual words. Like, oh yeah, I can see that also. Or maybe they'll say, do you hear me? Can you hear this? So those are auditory. So you're going to respond in auditory terms. Or maybe the speaker says, can you grasp this? So, absolutely, I grasp that. And so now you're going to use kinesthetic terms. And the beauty there, Tonya, is you're connecting with that individual consciously and subconsciously. Because subconsciously, the subconscious mind is saying to the conscious mind, hey, this person is kind of like me. I like people that are like me. I trust people that are like me. And that's saying that all of us are familiar with. People do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. I like to flip that around and say people do business with people they trust. Then they might want to get to know you and like you. If they don't trust you, they're not going to do business with you.
Right.
So your tonality, your rate of speech, the words you use, your body language, all helps you connect with the audience, whether it's on stage or in a networking event, or perhaps you're leading a meeting, or perhaps you're an attendee in a meeting and you're wanting to be noticed by the boss. How you hold yourself, how you make eye contact, how you speak elevates you in their eyes. So these are all important characteristics. And you're right, it's not just for the person that goes on stage, it's for all of us anytime we're speaking to any group or any individual.
Yeah, a lot of times there's these, you talked about like these connection words, right? That when you use them, the other person, they just grasp you faster, right? And then they feel comfortable because you're not only, you're just mirroring them, not only in what you're saying, as far as, if they're a storyteller, you're a storyteller. But it's also these specific words. I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you mentioned the mirroring. Many times people talk about the importance of mirroring and matching. This is part of creating rapport. So you're using the words, those connecting words, and your body language. So if the person is talking with their hands a lot, you don't necessarily have to do all those gestures. However, you do some of those gestures. And there again, it's that connecting with the subconscious mind and saying, oh, this person is like me.
Yeah.
So absolutely. That is so important. It's so important to understand just how to do that, how to use those words. And when we think about that also, let me transition a bit to the power of a phrase. And we'll call this an anchoring phrase.
Yeah.
So if you're wanting to really make an impact and perhaps you're speaking with someone, you say, and they're visual, you say, I can see you doing this. So you look at that person with the same gestures. Maybe you say, I can see you doing this. And after you continue to talk, and I can see you doing this. You're using the same gesture, the same tonality, and exactly the same words. And what you're doing there again is you're connecting on a subconscious level. You can see them doing that. And whether or not they take action at that time, the seed is planted in their subconscious mind because you're inviting them to see themselves taking action, seeing themselves doing this. And they're much more apt to actually take that action.
Yeah.
The same. Go
Do you
ahead.
find that when because I know a lot of people are probably, to me, it's very natural, but I know most people it's not.
Correct,
and they have
it's
to
not.
practice this, right? How do you know if someone is visual or kinesthetic or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. And you use these things right here.
Right.
You listen. And so if the individual is speaking with you, saying, can you grasp this? Or can you get a handle on this? Okay, those are kinesthetic words. As for instance, if you're working with an individual, maybe you have extended an invitation to do business with you, and let's picture this. They're looking at your agreement, not a contract, an agreement. Looking at your agreement, and you know that person is kinesthetic. Then you use a word like, say, well, let me walk you through this. Walking them through. If they pause at some place, well, do you grasp the benefits that you'll feel when you've completed this training? Kinesthetic. On the other hand, if that same person has been using words that cause using auditory words, then you're still going through the contract. See, you can say, let me discuss this contract with you. Discuss this talking. And maybe plant a picture by saying, just when the training is completed, can you hear how people are going to speak with you? Can you hear how they're going to talk with you? So using hear, words like that. But again, it all starts by listening. So we have to be good listeners. And Tonya, it's intentional. You said it's not natural. So a person, when they're going to a networking event or speaking on stage or meeting one-on-one, you go into that meeting with that intention. You're going to listen. You're going to try to determine what's this person's primarily learning modality or way to communicate. Is it visual? Is it auditory? Is it kinesthetic? And you're going to match that as much as possible. You're not going to require them to match you. You're going to use their words, similar body gestures, so that you're making that good connection. So that their subconscious mind says, I trust this person. I think I want to do business with this person.
Right. Because I know even in my book, Client Today is a Coffee Shop Way, one of the things that I even tried to, because a lot of times people will go to have like a one-on-one, either on the phone, over Zoom, or in person. And we are so excited to tell people about what we do that we over push everything on top of the person we're meeting.
Correct.
And so I try to get people to stop, because our natural tendency is to go first, because we're excited to let them know what we do. I tried to, from the get-go a long time ago when I first started networking and everything, is get the person to talk first. Because just like what you're saying, you have to know what kind of person you're talking to, so that way you can mirror them. And you won't know if you go first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And also, you think about our society, I believe we are starved for attention. What better way to show you care than if you let the other person speak first and you're actually listening, nodding your head, and responding, as opposed to spending your time sort of listening and thinking, what am I going to say next? No. You listen. You're paying them a huge compliment.
Yeah.
Huge compliment. And you're beginning to also get a sense of how, by working with you, they can benefit. They can transform their lives. And you won't know that if you don't. Just pause and listen and let them talk.
Yes. And, and do things like, have a little journal or some type of book or paper or something. Even your phone, you can even take notes on that and put their name at the top and then write actual notes about them. Now, for me, I used to do it naturally just because by the time it was my turn, I would forget what they had said. So I would make notes, and then I realized they really like that because then they see me physically writing it down, especially for the kinetic people, right?
Yes, huge compliment. You're actually interested enough to write it down. Great. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Right.
Absolutely. That is the way to do it. Make that note, make it personal, and then you can work with them and find the benefit, the mutual benefit of knowing each other or working together. The goal is to create that mutual benefit, that personal relationship, and they will remember you. You will be remembered just because you paused and paid attention to them.
Yes, love it. Now, I know you have something really fun to give our listeners today. What is that?
Thank you for asking. Absolutely. When individuals hear me talking about words, they're thinking, well, what are those words? Well, to make it easy, I have a list. I have a list of visual, kinesthetic, and auditory words and phrases. And to get that, all the individual has to do is send me an email, and in the subject heading, write words. And my email, let me give it to you, and then I'm going to spell it just so there's no mistakes. So my email is gary@garymckenzie.com. Now, everybody knows how to spell Gary, Gary. That's the easy part. McKenzie, that's a little tricky. McKenzie, the spelling is McKinsey. So it's Gary@GaryMcKenzie.com. And I will send you that list of words.
All right, everyone. So email Gary because you want to get to know him anyways. So get his free list. Who doesn't want that? So just grab a hold of it. And then while you're emailing him, figure out a time to actually have a conversation with him and, build that relationship, because obviously this is a guy you want to learn for a long time, not just for, a moment. So I so appreciate you being on today, Gary. I want you to come back often.
Absolutely. I will be back. I look forward to our next conversation.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Get connected with Gary McKenzie right now. And then also, don't forget, you want to come to the London conference. So publicspeakerswithans conference.com. All right. Talk to y'all later. Thanks. Bye, Gary. Bye, everyone.
Bye.